Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting the like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from the relationship advice subreddit from Throwaway Bad BF, who says, my female 29 best friend, female 29, tried to sabotage my marriage, and I don't know why. So I, 29, met my best friend Sarah, 29, and husband 31, when I was 11. I just moved to a new country with my family, and now sister-in-law introduced me to Sarah, 29. Now that we're adults, we share some friends, but we each have different groups to do different things. So I'm usually working in the office from 9 AM to 2 PM, and I have a 30-minute break that I can usually take to have my second breakfast, and sometimes I go to my husband's office. It's a 5-minute walking or a cafe near my job. Sometimes I have to work out of my office or go to another city. Every now and then, I mention to Sarah if I have to travel for work during the week in casual conversations. Last week I had to travel for work on Wednesday, but Tuesday night there was a red alert about the weather the next day, so my work thing was cancelled and I stayed home with my 2-year-old. My husband went out at 6 AM to make sure his business was closed and put up some flood protection, and by 7:30 AM he was back home making breakfast. It didn't start raining until 1 PM. At 3 PM, Sarah sent a message asking if I was at home already because it was flooding where I was traveling, and I just text back, home safe. We literally didn't go out until Friday. Saturday, Sarah and I go to the same gym class. She told me we needed to talk in private, so we went to my car and she told me basically, on Wednesday I saw your husband with a woman and they were making out and your kid was in the car. I was frozen for a bit, but then I remembered that I was working from home with my husband and my baby for 2 days. I realized she was lying, but I didn't understand anything. I asked 3 times if she was sure it was this week's Wednesday, and she confirmed it 3 times. I asked her about the time, and she said about 11 AM. I asked if it was during the red alert, and she said yes. I asked her if she was 100% sure, and she launched a whole description of my husband making out with a gorgeous Barbie look-alike blonde girl in his car in front of our kid near his office during the red alert. So he was putting my son at risk and cheating in front of him. I told her my work thing was suspended because of the red alert and we were both home the whole time it was activated. She tried to say she got confused with the days, but she confirmed it 3 times. I told her to leave and she left running. I went home and did the whole betrayed spouse house search. There was no hidden phone, I have all the passwords to every device in this house. Not lack of trust, it's because I manage part of his business and he's bad with passwords. Even looked after emails, and the only thing he was hiding was his paranormal podcast he listens to sometimes. That night, I told my husband what was going on, and he denied ever cheating and even worse, disrespecting his own son in that way. I believe him 100%. There wasn't a change in his behavioral routine. He gave up his phone right away, and I told him I already checked everything in our house, and he told me to check his car then. We decided to call Sarah together. She picked up the 3rd call, and she was crying. I told her to just tell me why she lied. She swore she wasn't lying, but told me she got confused with Monday. I told her Monday our son was in daycare. We had breakfast during my break, so at what time did my husband went to take our son out of daycare, go to pick up this girl to make out in front of my baby, then back to the daycare for me to pick him up, and then have breakfast with me? She cried more and told me she didn't know, so my husband told her to cut the shit if she had at least a bit of decency and tell us why she was lying. She said she was sorry and hung up, and then had the audacity to block us. I told the friends we had in common with her, and everyone is mad and can't explain what happened to her. She's not picking up the phone, but she sent a message back saying she was sick. Some of them asked her why she was lying, and she blocked them. Someone even called her mum, and she is just as shocked. Nobody understands what's going on. I thought maybe it was a crush, but my husband never liked her that much, so he didn't pay attention to her. She isn't even added to his socials because she never liked her when Sarah was his sister's friend or when she became my friend too. They don't interact unless it's necessary to say she got a crush so big she thought it was worth it to try and break a family. I do know that sometimes she gossips a little too much or sometimes she talks about things she shouldn't, but I never thought it would develop into something this big. I had this girl at my side for really hard moments. I had her back when she needed me. She was one of the first persons I told about my wedding and pregnancy. I loved this girl since we were little. I just don't understand, and she is not talking to anyone. Oh my word, that is just so frustrating and it's just asking the question, why is she doing this? Is it just jealousy, resentment? Does she like your husband? Wise woman in the comments was saying, 1, she wants you to be single so you're free to hang out with her. 2, she wants your husband to be free. Why though? 3, she wanted to stir up drama. 4, she was mistaken regardless of her reason. She's not a good friend and you're right to distance yourself from her. And Banana's Revenge says perhaps the feeling regarding your husband is mutual and she was trying to drive him away. Is she single? Did she go through a breakup or something along those lines recently? Sometimes when that happens to people, they try to make their friends single so they don't feel bad or jealous. It's awful, but it happens. You need to cut this person from your life. Opie says, it's not like they're rude to each other or anything, but she is aware that my husband has better connection with other friends of mine. But she is still invited to our house or every group kind of thing, just like any other friend. Also, she is not the relationship kind of girl. Doesn't have a history of bad breakups, and she is out of our lives, but she left a lot of confusion behind her. Commenter replies saying, does she have a history of lying, even about small things? Opie says not lying or creating drama. Maybe a little too much gossip, but about things that actually happen, not complete lies. Lost Friendship says, what's Sarah's living situation? She didn't tell us if she is married, lives with a partner, went through a breakup, has kids, what she does for work, etc. How often do you hang out? I'm assuming she is single as you called her mum and not her partner, but telling us a little more about her life might shed some light on why she's acting so batshit crazy. Can you think back whether she's ever said anything negative about your husband before? Have you spoken to your sister-in-law about this? What does she think? Maybe the two of you should pay Sarah a visit. Perhaps going without your husband might make her more willing to tell you why she's making shit up about him. And maybe she had a brain tumor. This is so strange. I honestly don't know without hearing a bit more about her life. Opie replied saying she's single, never really liked being in relationships. No bad breakups. She works from home in her field and was happy with it. Our group of friends are her longest, I would say main friendships, but she also has a healthy social life outside of us, you know? If she wants to make plans, she has people to do them. Also, my husband and Sarah are not like rude to each other, but Sarah knows that she isn't his favorite friend of mine, but she never said something bad about him, at least to my face. She was still invited to every cookout, birthday or stuff like that. She was welcomed to our house and treated her like any other guest. We usually see each other once a week outside the gym, sometimes with other friends, sometimes with my kid, and sometimes alone. We don't have a set schedule, but we make time. I admit my sister-in-law went crazy on her messages, but she's currently living abroad, so that bridge, I would say, is burned. Some friends are suggesting mental health issues, but she never did anything like this. But she is still not talking. Commenter says, what do you mean your sister-in-law went crazy on her? Opie said she left voice notes and messages screaming and insulting her, which I find fair, and told her she was cut off the group and was telling everyone what she did, and she messaged almost all of Sarah's friends on Instagram about what she did and to be careful if they're in relationships in case she tries to ruin another relationship. Commenter says, is Sarah having a mental breakdown? It'd be very strange if she was previously a good friend and then suddenly starts sabotaging your relationship. Not you, but someone else should take her for a mental health check. Opie says some of my friends are suggesting mental health because she isn't known for lying or liking drama. But it's not like we can take her to a hospital and she isn't talking to anyone. Little Red Riding Hood says, Opie, first hug your husband and appreciate him. Not many men would tolerate the crazy you showed by searching the house, his phone, emails, etc. when you knew damn well he was home with you during that time frame and that she was lying. You owe him an apology. You know you do. As for Sarah, God only knows. It could be any number of things. Jealousy, a crush on either one of you, a misery loves company, and the list goes on. She's going to be too embarrassed to actually talk to you, at least for now. Distance yourself and let her be. There's something going on. I don't know that you want to get caught up in it again. She has already tried to break up your marriage once and had you searching your house like a crazy woman. It's not a good idea to get tangled up with that twice. Opie replied saying, yeah, I apologize a lot after going crazy when I thought my world was crashing. Luckily, he understood and would have done the same in my position just in case. Weekly says, why would you think that when you knew right away she was lying? She confirmed everything 3 times, and when you told her you were together all day, she said she was confused and tried to change the day she supposedly saw him. Then you also told her she was lying about the day as well. I would have cut her off immediately. So if she worked from home, how would she have seen him when she would be working? Let alone when everyone was supposed to stay at home due to the red alert. Opie replies saying, when I say that I didn't understand fully what was going on, I'm serious. I asked if she was sure about the day because 2 weeks prior we had another rain alert, but wasn't as strong and we went to work and didn't affect my area. There's another city that isn't far and it was bad. The next week my husband drove with his friends to the affected area and was out of town for 2 days doing volunteering, and then the next Wednesday the red alert heavy rain fully affected my city. She doesn't have a history of lying, so my brain told me to make sure she didn't get confused or wasn't talking about the previous red alert. Her job is flexible, and she often runs small errands during the morning, and she doesn't live too far from our jobs, and at the time frame she gave me it wasn't raining yet. The lie was well thought out. Her mistake was not checking if my job line cancelled for the day even when it was public information. Commodore says, you met your best friend when you were 11 and your sister-in-law introduced you to her. Do you mean reintroduction? Opie says, I arrived to a new school in a new country. The first person that talked to me was my now sister-in-law because we sat together. She introduced me to her friends. One of them was Sarah, and later that day she introduced me to her brother who I married like 15 years later. I met them the same day. Lexi Prop says, if everyone agrees this is out of the ordinary for her, there may be serious medical conditions she's unaware of. It seems like she's convinced of what she saw, and if so, she needs to get medically evaluated ASAP. If you're in contact with her family, please let them know you are concerned for her well-being and encourage them to have her see a doctor. Opie says, I talked with her mum today, and we all agree that this is strange for her. She was never into drama. She responds to her mum's messages sometimes and ignores the rest of us, but I'm not going to involve myself in the next steps. She's out of my life. So it was about a week later that Opie comes in with her final update and says, so I got the truth finally, and it was far more stupid than I thought. So Sarah's mum told me to come to her house for a conversation with Sarah and to bring a friend as a buffer. I went for closure. She apologized a lot, but I literally had to interrogate her to give me reasons, and I finally got them. She lied because she was mad that I missed our girls trip, 5 girls group, for the second time. Once because I had a 2-month-old baby, and this year because I had to work during August, and it was the only month everyone else was free. I traded my vacations for December plus extra days they owed me, so I'll be out of the country from December to January 10th and miss her birthday in December and other winter activities in January. Her reasoning was that if I thought my husband cheated, she was sure I would leave. But he wouldn't let me take my son abroad for too long without him, so I'd be forced to stay, but would be able to travel during my husband's custody time. She was just being mean and selfish because of a trip that I missed and a birthday. She thought it'd be okay to break my son's family so she can have all her friends for attention. I told her to never contact me again and to avoid me everywhere. My friends are aware to not invite me to things if she was going to be there, but everyone is mad at her, so she is the one not being invited. This is painful as hell. I would have been able to forgive and work on things if she was having mental health issues or drug problems. Actually sent her mother recommendations for mental health professionals during the week. Almost 20 years of friendship down the drain. I treat my closest friends like family because a part of my husband's family. I only have my sister in this country. I make time for them, pay attention and help them when I can. I thought she wanted the best for me as much as I wanted the best for her, but lesson learned, I guess. Holy moly. A lot of people still talking about the mental health side of things. Maybe she's having some kind of episode, etc. Other people saying arseholes are just gonna arsehole, right? But what do you guys make of this one? Bloody hell. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. So our next story comes from the wedding drama subreddit. It's got a trigger warning on it of borderline incest. Oof. Titled, Future Mother-in-Law's Song Choices for the Groom/Mother Dance Are Interesting. Disclaimer, I know this isn't the most high-octane wedding drama, but I just had to share because wedding planning has been a bit of a slog lately, and this recent development was equal parts cringe and questionable. Also pretty entertaining to me, but not so much my fiancé. We're doing bride/father and groom/mother dances at the reception. The other day, future mother-in-law sent my fiancé her list of potential songs she'd like him to pick from. She prefaced this with something along the lines of, I spent all day thinking about our relationship, and these are the songs that I think really capture it. Keeping in mind that my fiancé is both an only child plus her miracle baby, and she openly objected to me for a very long time. I'd like to highlight some of her suggestions and my favorite lyrics from them. Here we go. If we hold on together, Diana Ross, with the lyrics, someone is praying, please let us come home to stay. If we hold on together, I know our dreams will never die. Where clouds roll by, Where clouds roll by for you and I. Next song, You Are the Sunshine of My Life by Stevie Wonder. The lyrics, and if I thought our love was ending, I'd find myself drowning in my own tears. You are the sunshine of my life. That's why I'll always stay around. The next one, ABC Jackson 5. With the lyrics, but without the roots of love every day, girl, your energy ain't complete. Teacher's gonna show you how to get an A. And one more, Can You Feel the Love Tonight by Elton John. Yes, the song's synonymous with the Lion King scene of the two lions doing it. With the lyrics, in the heart of this star-crossed Voyager beats in time with yours. And can you feel the love tonight? It is where we are. Yeah, you ain't gonna catch me singing any of those, you cheeky so-and-sos. Considering the optics and overall ick, fiancé was not happy with the list. Meanwhile, with everything we've been through, I've had no choice but to adopt the mindset of what's gonna happen next, and just laugh these things off. Hopefully, some of y'all can laugh with me. Also happy to report that, without too much extra drama, they will be dancing to What a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong instead. Lol. The first commenter says to OP, you're being a bit absurd about this. There is a high chance that his mum didn't pore over the lyrics with a fine-toothed comb as you have done. For example, You Are the Sunshine of My Life is a nice sentiment and perhaps how she feels about her child. It's just not as deep as the two of you are making it out to be. OP says, I hear you, and for just about any other situation, would not have thought too hard about this. My dad and I are dancing to something more unconventional too, but this is also the same woman who wanted for us to go on a cruise with her for our honeymoon with connecting rooms. The commenter comes back in and says, in that case, I still don't know why you're fixating on the song. The song is the least of your problems. OP says, I get that, believe me. I was mostly sharing to laugh a bit and see if others can relate. We move past the song. I'm not worried about my fiancé. He's honestly been amazing about learning to set boundaries over the course of our relationship and has always put us first. I'm very proud of him. We've accepted that this is just who she is, so we focus on what we can control and laugh off the rest, if that makes sense. Chronically Thinking says, I hope Can You Feel the Love Tonight is the final decision. That way everyone could see how batshit crazy your mother-in-law is. OP says, that was the one that made me start laughing. Especially when my fiancé described it as the piece de resistance. Delicious Counter says, I think people that are criticizing you didn't experience the lion's sex scene in the same intensity that we did. This shit is hilarious, especially if that's what made your fiancé lose it on her. The Lion King sex song, to a wedding. Please do not consider the opinion of whoever doesn't see the absurdity of this. Hope says appreciate it. That was basically the reaction my maid of honor had. The Lion King sex song, at a wedding. With her son. So it was 6 weeks later that OP came back in and said, hi everyone. I made a light-hearted post a little while back about my mother-in-law's interesting choices for the groom and mother dance at our reception. It had gotten a little bit of attention and a couple of people asked me for an update, so I wanted to share how it all went at the actual wedding. Ooh. Link to the original post, and then says, as a quick reminder, my mother-in-law has a bit of a questionable attachment to my husband. He's her miracle baby. Her words, only child and only boy in the family, so you might get the picture. Hence the real icky tones to most of the songs she originally picked out. My husband had been already dreading this part of the wedding and had worked out a hand signal with the DJ to indicate if he, husband, wanted to end the song early. You're probably thinking, why not skip it then? And please believe me, if he had, she would have lost her mind. She was already being volatile over other things. I supported him either way, but he ultimately made the decision to just go through with it. In hindsight, he probably shouldn't have. The woman spent the entire dance with her hand on his ass. Oh fuck. Repeatedly patting, holding her hand against, and even full on grabbing it. It was absurd, to the point my husband started trying to signal to the DJ to end the song, not even 30 seconds in. I checked in with my husband immediately afterwards to make sure he was okay. He was alright, a bit angry, a bit embarrassed, but he decided to let it go as to not affect the rest of the wedding. Luckily, he is able to lightheartedly talk about it now when people bring it up, because yes, people noticed. A lot of them. So folks, learn from us. If you don't want to do a parent dance, just don't. Even if your spouse is opting to do one with their parent, go with your gut. ETA, the song they danced to ended up being What a Wonderful World, Louis Armstrong. Spare Ad says, wow. I'm gobsmacked. Serious lack of sense, decorum, boundaries, you name it. I think I'd be doing a special montage of her grabbing his butt in photos and film and send it to her. Ask your friends to send them to you. Start thinking of titles. Butts the Butts, My Boy's Butts, etc. Opie says, we do have a picture a friend sent me of my fave while watching the dance. That is pretty funny. She also had her phone out, holding it in her outstretched arms so it reached the middle of the aisle during our entire ceremony. Couldn't even put it down to actually clap for us during the first kiss. A friend of ours photoshopped a rubber chicken in her hand. Commenter says she made a fool of herself in front of everyone that was there. How can any adult not realize how inappropriate they are with their own grown child? Be careful with her around any children you might have. Opie says, happy to say we are 100% child free, and that's not changing. Thank the Lord. Chance says, so your mother-in-law sexually assaulted her son in front of everyone attending the wedding. Got it. He's not laughing about it because he's learned to cope. Hope he talks to a professional about his relationship with his abuser so he can have a clear perspective about it. Opie says he's been in counseling solo to deal with many things, and we did couples counseling specifically to learn how to handle her behavior and be a united team when situations arrive and how I can be supportive. We've unpacked this together as well as him alone since the wedding, which is why he's able to cope with it in the way he has. Now I knew it was always more than about these particular songs. There was always more to it, mother-in-law getting too involved, crossing boundaries, etc. Because when I was looking at those songs, apart from the Lion King one, if Opie hadn't provided the lyrics, I wouldn't probably batted an eye, to be fair. But with all the context that Opie gives, you're thinking, yeah, there's probably more weird shit, right? But there were some comments below this talking about some wild wedding stories they went to. No Fault says, hold my beer. I've been waiting to tell this story. I went to a wedding and the mother/groom dance was to Santeria by Sublime. Mother of the groom also groped. Groom did this weird bow of his cowboy hat. The whole room slow faded away and the DJ looked uncomfortable. Lady Blue comes in and says, I can beat that. Handsy grandma in a too tight, too short club dress groped her grandson, the groom, while slow dancing to Don't You Wish Your Girlfriend Was Hot Like Me, immediately after the bride and groom dance. I was tending the bar. Had to go back to run my head under the tap to wash my eyes. I got some wedding cringe stories and I've hinted at one time and time again, and I've written it out, I just haven't told it yet. I can't bring myself to do it. About the father of the bride the guy had a false eye and he took his false eye out and put it on top of the cake next to like the little figures of the bride and groom and said, I'm keeping my eye on you. And there was a whole lot of other shit going on at that bloody wedding, but hey, maybe one day we'll drop that bit of lore. Another commenter says, a friend of mine attended a wedding at which the groom and his mother danced to Strawberry Wine by Diana Carter, a song in which a woman reminisces about losing her virginity at 17. Not only that, but the music was a recording of the groom's mother singing the song karaoke style. As far as I know, no groping occurred. How about you guys? What cringy wedding things have you seen? Have you seen any like mother-son dances or anything like those with some inappropriate songs going on? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly, it's absolutely amazing. And hopefully I'm going to see you in the next one. Take care and much love.